Hello guys, how are you? Well, hold on.
Everything okay? And you?
Well, so first there was a lot of rain during these days. So bad. I mean, not a hurricane, but it was pounding rain. It was so heavy. I think it made like some roads floated, and then it also affected the electricity and the internet. We also have problems with the internet and the electricity anyway. It was more serious because of the rains. But what I'm really worried about now is that there's a friend of mine who disappeared last Tuesday, and we have been looking for him for days, and we don't know anything about him. We reported it to the police, and we just keep like trying to find as much information as we can, and we can't find anything. Um, we last time he talked to us, it was on Tuesday night. I mean, we were expecting him Tuesday night to um hang out with us, but he didn't appear. And then on Wednesday, he didn't reply any messages, so we started to suspect. Then on Thursday, and it continued, was him without any answers. So we reported to the police. His family came here. He lives in like I think you need to fly about 3 hours. It's not Mexico City, it's Tlaxcala, you know, from Tlaxcala to Cancun. And that's how his family came, and we are all looking for him, but we don't have any idea where he is. Um, and so far, for all the information that we have received, I already told my friends, but I'm afraid that he was actually kidnapped. I mean, not kidnapped to get a ransom. I think that um, he was killed. So he had a business that he was just selling jewelry, but the way he did it, he was always carrying jewelry in his backpack. Everything was legal except that he didn't pay taxes, but um, he was always carrying jewelry in his backpack. So I think that he also had some problems with some people because they didn't pay him, and then it just the situation kept getting worse and worse. And I think that because they were calling him, um, the scammers when calling him to, um, like they were threatening him. So that's all the information we have. But yeah, it's kind of serious. Um, but I think that unfortunately, but I think that his death. I can't think of any other thing. I think that he made the wrong people mad, and he drove them up the wall. So that's why they killed him. Yeah, but we try to keep positive until we receive more news. And yeah, that's why we don't want to speculate, but honestly, I just don't find anything better. Yeah, I don't know. We just hope that he's doing well. Okay, so yeah, that's basically last week was so bad, like rain, then the situation with my friend, no internet. We it was so crazy, but we will see how we can make up these classes. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your attendance. And today we are going to we're going to check a topic to, when we use different modal verbs. We're going to check the use of modal verbs, how you use them to review the modal verbs. All right. So, and to let you know, we will have an evaluation. We will have a test the next week from what we have learned so far. I think that, for example, just Oscar, who is new, he won't have this evaluation. I mean, you will have the uh, no, it's okay. Miguel or Miguel is Oscar. You
Miguel
change your
Huerta?
name.
Yes, Miguel Huerta
Oh,
is Oscar. Just
okay.
because it's Oscar Carrillo, to not get confused. So I
Okay.
am Oscar Miguel Huerta and I am Miguel. I prefer Miguel.
Okay. Very
Hi.
well. So just you will have the evaluation, but you won't be like it's not going to count for you. Um, all right. I think we'll have it on Friday the next week. So here we go. Some modal verbs. Okay. So yesterday we checked. No, yesterday. It's not yesterday. Sorry, my mind is um I'm a little bit absent-minded recently. So in the last class we talked about past abilities. We saw the difference between could, be able to, manage to, and be capable of. And today we're going to check the difference between some modal verbs. Okay, we're going to check all of them modal verbs, their function, and maybe some hidden uses that you didn't know. Yeah. Okay, very well. So, talking about verbs, as you know, by the way, is Zoom change like updated and now has new functions? Okay, it looks very different, very modern. Well, so there are different verbs, right? You have the regular verbs, irregular verbs, transitive, intransitive, participles, gerunds, infinitives, phrasal verbs, imperative. But we're going to talk about modal verbs today. So, do you remember any modal verbs? Could you give me some examples if you know some examples of modal verbs? So, so we refresh your mind. Some modal verbs we got here are can, all right, can and can't, which we use when, or what's the function of can, can't, or cannot? You remember? Okay, so what's the function of can, but not really the translation? When do we use can?
Of things that we are able to do.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So yeah, it's for talking about possible and impossible things. You know that people use can also when they want to say something to prohibit something or to talk about um, permissions, right? They say, for example, can I take this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Or they can say, you can't do this. You cannot go there, right? And even though this is a normal and very extended use of can, remember that can should only be used for possibilities. And I'm using this because even though you can use can for many other things, like when you give permission or to prohibit something or someone to do something, the correct thing is that you reserve can only to say that something is possible or impossible, right? So some of these examples, like if you say, I can't eat at work, it means I'm unable to eat at work, right? It doesn't, it's not a rule. You are not saying you mustn't because that's another modal verb. So even they say you can't eat at work. Well, I can, right? If it's possible, maybe I can eat at work because I'm so busy that I literally can't eat at work. So that's when you have to be careful when you use can, right? Can is not for permission, is not for obligation or prohibition. Can is only for possibilities to talk about your abilities too, right? Um, can you play the piano? I'm not inviting you to play the piano. I'm asking you if you can play the piano, right? But that's a common misconception. Anyway, in the informal context, when someone tells you, hey, can you play the piano? Maybe it's an invitation, but this is not the correct use of this word. That's why we have the next one that is for permissions. For permissions, we use this modal verb may, right? Um, yeah, when you say may is basically like, yeah, you could translate like can, but this one you use for permission. Some kids ask when they are at school, may I go to the bathroom or toilet, right? But this is the correct way to say it. You when you give some instructions, you can say you may call later. You may have a seat. You may not sit on the table, right? So, uh, other way that we could say it, like there are some recommendations, right? We use some other modal verbs, but before going that, so remember, can is for possibilities, may is for permissions, must. We use must for obligations and prohibitions. So that's why I told you that people confuse the use of can't with must. They say, for example, you can't be here. You can't. Well, the correct thing is you must not be here, right? So that's the difference between can, which is a possibility, and must, which is an obligation and prohibition, right? And we also have the negative, which is mustn't. Now, for recommendations, you can use should, ought to, and had better. So these are modal verbs that we use for recommendations. Actually, we use the word recommendation, advice, um, or suggestions. So they all mean the same. Yeah. Recommendations, advice, suggestions. Good. So we say you should be on time, right? Maybe at work, you could say you must be on time. You must be, I don't know, and you must be at some time, or there's some tolerance. So you must be no more than 10 minutes late, right? Maybe this is part of the rules at work. You must be no more than 10 minutes late. And this would be, if you are later than 10 minutes, it means you are breaking the rules. So must, in this case, you use it for the obligation, no more than 10 minutes late. Now, if I tell you, hey, you should be on time, maybe I recommend you should be earlier, a bit earlier, right? So maybe don't arrive at this time, but arrive 5 minutes earlier or 10 minutes earlier. So that's why they say should for recommendations. Usually at work, we have some other recommendations that are based on the rules, that are based on what other people tell you, right? Maybe the authority, right? Let's think about one thing that they do at work. So at work, for example, they say you have to be polite all the time, right? And like in some hotels, or when you work in customer service, you have to be polite all the time. So this is aligned to the company's policies, sorry. And this is aligned to the policies of the company, and also like it's a recommendation, but actually is between should and must. So we use ought. Actually, you can also pronounce like oughta, but remember, oughta is a synonym of should. Just that oughta is for a stronger recommendation. And some, for example, they say you oughta talk to the police. So yeah, it's a recommendation, but the police deserves to know whatever it is. So I'm giving you a recommendation based on what is lawful, what is rightful, right? So when you give a recommendation and you want to say, it's not only a recommendation. This is what you should do according to the law and according to what it's rightful or ethical. So that's why when you give recommendations, we use should. When we want to give a stronger recommendation, we say ought to. And then you have the other one that is stronger, that is had better. Had better, and like you see here, it has the threatening context. It will give the person the idea that you are threatening them. So the expression is you had better. Just remember that you had better has nothing to do with had, it has nothing to do with better, right? You had better is just like together means something very different. It means you can say actually you'd better, or you can totally see it without had, informal. So you can say you better, like we say you better listen to me, or else. Yeah, so this is like when you're threatening another person, so it's a recommendation, but you are saying that there won't be a nice things if the person doesn't listen to you, so there will be consequences. Okay. So do you have any questions about these phrasal verbs? Any questions about the phrasal verbs?
Teacher, how can I have this information? Because I don't know if I couldn't be able to go into the classes, but I didn't take the classes. So I would like to check that information out, like maybe in the morning, something like that. Like to refresh what I see right now.
Well, I can send you this file. Yes, of course, I can send it to you. Don't worry.
Thank you.
And yeah, so these are some modal verbs. We haven't seen all of them. So modal verb we have for possibilities and abilities, and we're going to use can. For permission, you use may. For obligation, you use must or must not for prohibitions. Recommendations, advice, suggestions is the same thing. Should, ought to, have better. All right. So now, in order to practice these obligations and prohibitions, please try to imagine some obligations, maybe at work or maybe at school, that you would like to be real. Imagine if you could live in an ideal workplace or school. What rules would you declare? Imagine you have the authority and you're the boss, or maybe you want to implement something different at work or at school. What rules would you implement to make it a nicer place? So please try writing 3 rules using must and mustn't of these rules that you would use at work. So here you have some examples from must and must not, some obligations and some prohibitions. So please write right here, please. What are 3 rules you would implement at work or at school? Okay, so Saul says we must be on time every day. We must be polite with every customer. We must not eat in front of the customers. Yeah, that could give the wrong image. Okay, everyone else, could you please write down your rules? Okay, Miguel wrote something about homework. You must keep. Another thing, remember the modal verbs. The next verb you write after a modal verb is in base form. So you don't write infinitives or gerunds, right? You would say, you must keep your workplace tidy. You must be friendly with users. You mustn't be late for work. Yeah, okay. Just without the infinitive. Now, there's other expression you can use that you can say it's allowed, or you could say it's not allowed, right? In English, these two expressions, I'm allowed, I'm not allowed, you are allowed, they are not allowed, he's not allowed. So again, we see, you could say, for example, it's allowed, or it's not allowed to um walk inside the house with shoes. Like there are many apartments or houses where people tend to take off their shoes at the entrance, right? This is very, very common. Um, so you would say it's not allowed. It's allowed what you can do, right? It's like to give permission. Or you could say, I'm allowed if you if if you are unable to do the activity, or I'm not allowed if you don't have permission to do something. So you could say, I'm allowed, I'm not allowed, right? I'm not allowed to give you this information. So in this case, when you use this phrase, you are not saying like, I don't want to give you the information, or I won't give you the information. You are saying that this is something that you are abiding by. Abide by is like follow the rules. Abide by the rules, abide by a constitution, abide, it's like be very aligned to something. You say abide by. Yeah. So you could say, I'm not allowed to give you this information because I'm abiding by the rules and they tell me to do this or not to do this. So you can use allowed. I'm allowed, I'm not allowed, you are allowed, etc. So do you have any questions with this phrase, allowed and not allowed?
Sure, this one is like it's more similar to must or no, like
Yeah,
for permission.
exactly similar to must. Yeah, you say I'm not allowed, it means I must not give you this information. But in positive, the affirmative, it's not must, if I say I'm allowed, it means I may do this, but it's not like really must, but it's similar to may for permission.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay. Now some of these modal verbs you can use them in the past too, right? You could say you, well, let's say you must have, you should have, you could have. All right. So these are the ones that make sense when you write them in past. As you know that modal verbs can be changed. You can write the past to this verb. You don't say must it or should it or could it. It doesn't exist. But you can get the auxiliary verb have and you say you must have told me, right? You must have told me. So it means you must do this, but in the past. So when I want to tell you about an obligation that you had in the past because you didn't do it, so I would say you must have told me, right? You should have to give you a recommendation. And remember that we have some contractions. You can say you must have told me. You should have told me. You could have Yeah, you could have told me. You should have told me, right? So you must have arrived earlier. You should have taken the medicine. You could have um like should have and could have similar meanings. You could have visited me before. So now it's not possible, but I'm just telling you the recommendation that you must have followed in the first place, right? So now I'm giving you this obligation, past obligation. I'm giving you these past recommendations. So you can add have, and the verb you notice that is the past perfect, right? So that's how you get this whole sentence in past. Okay. Now, in order to apply this information, okay, please join us in the next activity. All right, especially for driving. But the point is we don't only see them the signs or we know what they mean, but we know how to say or how to give these instructions in English. All right, so please join us this activity, and we're gonna talk about some common road signs. So you can join us, please. Here you can join here, or you can scan the code here. Go ahead. Right, we can start. Yeah, I know it's weird that I think I think in some countries you never see the like a minimum speed, but yeah, there are actually some signs that tell you what the minimum speed is. So you don't cause an accident too. So we have the minimum and the max speed. Remember, we have the three different colors for signs. Blue will be for informative, and yellow Yeah, and what about the red? They're prohibited signs. Okay, so blue informative, yellow warnings, and red prohibited. This is the one we check, right? What are you not allowed to do? Okay, so what would you how would you say this to any person? Like any friend of yours? Maybe you saw the sign, but he didn't see it. So what would you say? What would you say? If your friend didn't see the sign and he still decides to turn right, what will you tell him? Like using the correct modal verb. How can we say this sign with words? Sorry, I can't hear you.
I just would say like, sorry about it, but you cannot go that way. Or you cannot turn right this way. 'Cause like you say in the beginning, can't. It's not like he don't have the possibility to turn, but it's like for the right reason you can do it.
Mm-hmm. So like must, right? You would say must. You must not turn right. If he didn't see the sign and he did, you would say you must, in this case, you must have not turned right. Yeah, you must not have turned right. Right, let's see. Where are you most likely to find this road sign? Okay, so motorway is another way of saying highway. Okay, what does it mean? Well, this in English you would say that is a diversion. Yeah, it's a diversion. So the diversion to another road. So yeah, it's just to inform you, 12 meters, you can turn to this town. It's blue, so it's informative. All right, let's continue. Yeah, so no vehicles, exactly. So that means that it's a road that is not intended for vehicles. Maybe it's a pathway for pedestrians or it's a pathway for bicycles. Although I don't know if this would be counted as a vehicle, but this road in I think this is British. You wouldn't you it means that you can't pass with your car. Now, I forgot to tell you, there's another way in English that you can give recommendations, and it's using may. If I don't know if you ever heard this expression, it's very common in movies, an American expression. and you say, for example, you may want to, I don't know, you may want to listen to this. So this is very common in movies. They say, well, actually, just in American English, you may want to listen to this. So actually, this may, the may want together, they mean you need to listen to this, or you should listen to this. So people use may want when you want to give a very, very polite recommendation. You may want to check our menu. For example, someone could tell you, hey, you may want to check our menu. It means it's a suggestion, right? You should check our menu, but it's very polite. Uh, you may want to sit down. Is please sit down. You should sit down, but it's very polite. So you use may to you. This is like very special. I think um it's not really for like you don't see it in any books, but people use it a lot. Yeah, this is like driving class. You know that in the UK they drive on their left lane, right? So I think that must be confusing. I think the signs are pretty British. Actually, this looks funny, no? What is this? Turbo? Or what is this? Fast and Furious? Yeah, no vehicles carrying explosives. I don't understand this sign. I don't know if it's a joke. One moment.
Teacher, from which countries are these signs?
I think they're British. Just let me check this one. It doesn't make sense to me that is.
I'm literally in air right now.
You're what?
I am in air. Like I'm lost.
Yeah, let me see.
Same.
So this sign is called. It's not for horse. It's for it's for motorcycles. So you can travel with car, but you can go with a motorcycle. This traffic sign. Ah, no, 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 no. Sorry. Yeah. No motor vehicles. No motor vehicles. So it means you can't drive uh you can't drive a car, you can drive a motorcycle or anything that has a motor. You can ride your bike, you can ride a horse, you can wear your roller skatings, scooter, but you can't when you see this sign, I have the same confusion sometimes when we travel to different country. The signs were funny, but it makes sense. Yeah, it shows a car, it shows a motorcycle, so yeah, no motors permitted. So yeah, that's why if you see this sign and you see all these options, so the only way you can cross is with horse or a donkey. All right. I think this one is simpler, no? All right, yeah. Key
You cannot
say,
park in the ocean.
sorry?
You cannot park in the ocean.
Yeah, you're not allowed to park in the ocean, please. Yeah. So quayside or riverbank. So the quayside is a special parking, let's say for boats. So muelle, right? That's the quayside. And you can't park there or in the riverbank. Exactly. All right. This you can find it too when there are sometimes roads that are very close to the beach, so you can't park that close to the beach. All right, let's continue. What is this sign? And yeah, so vehicles may pass either side to reach the same destination. Like it doesn't matter what path you use, it takes you the same way. Yeah. This is more like a road sign. It's not really for like you don't see this in a highway. This would be more common for hiking. When you're walking, and yeah, you would see something like this. All right. All right. So the A46. This is definitely from the UK. This is a very British expression. So the A46 is a major road from England. In the UK, it shows first the name of the road, then the region, and then it shows the places where you live. Nottingham, 17 miles. Leicester, 32 miles. Yeah, so all these are British. Let me see, maybe we can check one with American signs, no? Because this is British. Okay, yeah, let's say cattle. Cattle is cows, sheep, or any animals that live in farms.
Like ganado,
Yeah, cattle, exactly. So what would you do if your friends are driving so fast and you see this sign? What would you tell your friend?
that he may crush into a cow.
Okay, yeah. So you say must, may, should, which would you use? Well, in this case, we will use must, right? Now we're going to do the another one, but with American. Well, actually, this is international, but I think we will use this. This is international because this one was only British and all right. So please join us this activity that we have some more signs, and I like that now this activity we have not only the road but like other signs that you can find at places. So you could join us here because the other one was very strange. All right, let's go. Okay, so basically no anything that has wheels is forbidden. This is a sign from Finland. What is this, Steve? What do you think? Zombies, no? That's a funny way when you travel and you see so many signs and you're like, what? Yeah. Danger of thin ice. Well, it looks creepy, right? It shows what can happen to you. All right. Then this is one is from Australia. Legs on the road. Yeah, pedestrian crossing ahead. Pedestrian, pedestrian, right? So we have different words, right? So when you say be careful or take care, it means it's just not very serious. But then you say something like, hey, watch out, look out. And this is when there's extreme danger. And there's something between that is beware. Beware of. Be careful with. Beware of. Okay, let's see the next one. Give rats ahead. Danger, raccoons ahead. Okay. Danger of rats that hug. I don't know why they would make a sign for raccoons. Okay, look out for surfers and cyclists. Look out is like beware. Do not feed the cows while riding. Then your car eating cows. Beware of cows. I love the options of this game. What does this American road? Okay, finally, one American. Yes, yield is actually like, imagine you're driving, but there's a crossroad, so you need to let this car first, and then you can continue driving. This is yield, to let the other person go first. Beware of giant eggs. Bed and breakfast. Okay, makes sense. The egg, no? Oh, they're a sign from Canada. Art is nearby. Yeah, that's a funny thing when you go to different, like, for example, when people come here and they say sign with jaguar, and people are like, wow, are there jaguars or crocodiles? And they're like, wow, are there really crocodiles? All right. So, guys, we'll see you the next class. Thank you so much for joining. Take care.
Goodbye.